Hi there, it's Nicole, and today I have a new card chair, and this one features some stamps and a die from Simon Says Stamp, plus a stencil from Heidi Swapp and some modeling paste or cream. And I'm going to start out with inking up this new stamp. This is a 6x6 background stamp from Simon Says Stamp. This is the wide stripes. This is from their new Spring 2014 release, and I'm just inking up part of this stamp with the new Simon Says Stamp Mint dye ink. I'm going to stamp this right on a card base also made from the Simon Says Stamp Mint cardstock. I wanted a tone-on-tone background, and the coordinating cardstock and inks work really nicely together to make tone-on-tone backgrounds. So there is my background for my card, and like a lot of the Hero Arts inks, for example, the Simon Says Stamp dye inks they go on kind of dark and blotchy, I would say, and then they kind of blend in and absorb into the paper and smooth out. I'm going to stamp this cute little skunk. This is from an older Simon Says Stamp release, and it's from their Stinkin Cute stamp set. It's a little mini stamp set because I want to color in this cute little skunk with some colored pencils and then blend in the colored pencils with some Gamsol. Before I do that, I'm going to take the Cotton Candy pink ink. This is also a new Simon Says Stamp ink color. I'm just going to stamp a few balloons here. I like to have some options in case I mess them up, and I ended up messing up a couple of them, so I was glad that I had already stamped several. And again, this ink will kind of absorb into the paper and smooth out as it dries. Now I did end up messing up my skunk as well, so I had stamped it again, and I'm going to color him in here now. I'm just using a combination of colored pencils. These are all from Prismacolor. Just adding some dark, and then I'll add a little bit lighter, and I'll blend it all in with a blending stump and some Gamsol. You don't have to color very nicely. As you can see here, I kind of just scribbled. I don't really do it terribly nice or anything like that. I'm going to make sure that my blending stump's kind of clean, and you want to start with your lightest colors or color and blend those, and then you can gradually go to the darker colors. If you blend from your darker color to the light, the darker color is likely to kind of cancel out any of that lighter coloring or shading. So I always like to go from darkest to lightest. You can always, drag the darker color or go back over it with some additional coloring to make it darker if you need to, but it's like when you color with Copics, you can go darker, but you can't really go lighter, so you want to be careful with that. And you can see that I'm going to go back in with my darker color and add some more where maybe it blended out too much and I felt like it needed just a little bit more shading. So he really comes to life once you get that color added there. Do his nose a little bit more. The cheeks I had colored them a little too light, so I went back with some darker because I wanted him to be kind of rosy. And then I am going to add just a little bit of darkness to the stomach area. Not a lot, just kind of around the edges to give it a little bit more dimension. Now, one of my favorite things to do when I color images like this is to go back in with a detail pen. This is a white opaque pen from Sakura. And I'd like adding like little dots and things to my colored critters. You don't have to, definitely. It's just a personal preference. I always like adding just a little bit more detail. I think it really makes your images pop. So I add the black gel pen for the eyes, and I'm also adding a little bit of glitter, which I love to do with that Wink of Stella clear glitter pen. I just did that to the stomach area and then the white stripe on the tail. And then I'm going to take a little glossy accents and apply that to the nose, which will give it some nice dimension once it dries. Now I am going to take one of those pink balloons there, and I am going to stamp some of the stars using the mint ink. Now to get that glossy, or pardon me, the glittered effect, I did use some iridescent embossing powder. I just stamped again over that entire image with the balloon stamp. I forgot to video it, so I stamped it again with Versamark right over the top of the stamped balloon, and then added the iridescent embossing powder and heat set that, and then I just die cut it with the coordinating die. I'm using a combination of greeting stamps. The Stinkin' Cute and You're So is from the Stinkin' Cute stamp set. You can also see that I've fussy cut or cut out my little skunk using some scissors. But I'm going to stamp the You're So Stinkin' Cute using Simon Says Stamp black ink right there on the front of my card. And then I'm going to add some additional stamping inside the card after I finish the outside. This is a really fun stamp set, or pardon me, stencil from Heidi Swapp, and it has several different things or designs on it, so you can kind of, use all of it, I suppose, if you wanted to, or just portions of it. And I kind of like the scattering of stars. They matched the theme of my card, they matched my balloon, so I'm going to use some of this modeling paste here, or modeling cream. This is a different one. It's linked in the supplies, and I'm just going to smooth it on with my palette knife here. And I kind of like mine not to be very perfect, so I don't smooth it a whole lot, and I like it to be a little bit more dimensional so I don't scrape off too terribly much before I lift it up. I'm going to just set that down real quick, and really carefully I'm going to pop up my stencil, and you can see I've got some really fun stars on the background of my card. So I'm going to clean this. I'm going to scrape off any of that excess modeling paste, put that back in the jar, and I'll clean my stencil because I don't want any of that left over to transfer, because I do want a few stars in that bottom right corner of the card. So I'm going to just do the same thing. I masked off anything I didn't want to use, just did a few down there, and I'm going to pop that off and clean it. Now I did add a little bit of this really thin hemp string to the back of my balloon, and I secured that with some foam adhesive. And then I'm just going to figure out how I want to put the string on my card before I secure the skunk to my card with some foam adhesive as well. So kind of decided I liked the loops going over to the right side, so I'm just kind of moving it around before I press it down too hard and secure it. I did add a few gems and things to the front of the card after I had adhered everything else, and then I'm going to take a couple more greetings from another new Simon Says Stamp set, and I stamped the happy birthday with the mint ink, and then I'm going to stamp the rest of the greeting with some black ink. I love when the greeting goes from the outside of the card to the inside of the card. It just gives it such a nice finished look. I hope you've enjoyed this video showcasing some fun new stamps and supplies from Simon Says Stamp. You can all the supplies are listed below the video in the description box on YouTube, and we will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.